Good morning. I want to start by thanking everyone at Germantown Middle School for hosting us today to announce the winners of this year's statewide student mock election. Our biggest reason for having the student mock election is to encourage students like you to build the early habit of participating in elections and make them aware of the importance of civic engagement. We know that the students participate in mock elections are tomorrow's voters, so we're excited here to be today. Today, we're going to hear from Senator Brian Kelsey and Representative Mark White. We'll also hear from Ms. Natasha Davis, who will be speaking on the importance of Civic Center classroom. And lastly, two 8th grade students, Ms. Jillian Spiegel and Mr. Jared Lopez. No, not Mr. Jared Lopez anymore, is it? We'll talk about why they cast their ballots before we announce the results of the statewide mock election. After we announce the results, we'll spend some time having some question and answer session with the students here. But first, I'd like to ask Senator Kelsey and Representative White to say a few words. And before they do, I just want to tell you what a privilege it is to serve both these gentlemen. Senator Kelsey doesn't get a lot of credit for. There's a very important piece of legislation we passed last year that will protect the victims of domestic violence and stalking, and our safe at home legislation. We handpicked Senator Kelsey to carry that piece of legislation that's going to protect these victims going forward. So big thanks to him. And Representative White has been on the forefront helping us on our state library and archives that we're getting built in Nashville as well. So fortunate to have both these leaders here today. And Senator Kelsey and Representative White, I would ask that you come and say a few words this morning.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Senator.
Yeah, Mark, come on. Yeah. I'm Brian Kelsey. I'm the state senator for this area, and so I represent you by 4 months out of the year going up to Nashville. And I just want to say that I'm really excited that you participated in this mock election. Raise your hand if you actually voted in the mock election. Okay, all right, great. Every one of you who's in this room. That is, yes, that is higher than the turnout that we're going to have next week. But we really appreciate your voting. When I was in 6th grade, how many of you are in 6th grade here? Any 6th graders? We got a few of you. So that was the first time that I participated in a mock election. Ronald Reagan was back on the ballot way back in those days, and it was been a long time ago. But it did spur an interest in being a part of the electoral system. And then I went on in 8th grade. How many of you are in 8th grade? Raise your hands. Oh, a whole lot of you. Okay. I went on in 8th grade to participate in another thing I want to talk to you about, which is the YMCA Youth in Government program. And in that, I acted like I was a state legislator, went to Nashville, tried to pass a bill through the House, where Representative White serves, and through the Senate, and ultimately get it signed into law by the governor. And it is the same exact process that we go through in Nashville now. We do that, and we pass all these laws to try to make things better for you and for your education in particular, which is something that's particularly on our hearts. And I just want to say as well, congratulations too, because you are all part of the Tennessee students who have been the fastest improving students in 3 subjects. Anybody know what subjects they are? Yes, ma'am. That's exactly right. Great job. Great job. Tennessee students are the fastest improving in the nation in math, reading, and science. So congratulations to that. And thank you all for participating in this election. Representative White, Representative Mark White.
Thank you, Senator Kelsey. Thank you very much. Do I need the paper? All right. As we begin, my name is Mark White, and I represent District 83, which is the school is in. So it's a pleasure to be with you this morning. As Senator Kelsey said, we are the fastest in the state of Tennessee. We are the fastest improving students, thanks to all the hard work. I chair the education subcommittee in Nashville for the past 6 years, so we put in place a lot of the legislation to have higher standards, accountability for those standards. And so, as he said, Principal Marsh got the award last night at the Shelby County School Board, but Germantown Middle School is a reward school. Only 1 out of 5 schools in the state of Tennessee get this reward because of y'all's achievement. And you got the big banner, I think, last night, but I wanted to give you this. It's just a recognition also.
Thank you so much. This is y'all's hard work. Good job.
Thank you for working hard to be a reward school. I just had a couple of comments I wanted to share with you. Things that I have learned in being a representative for the past 9 years. I used to teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade when I started my career, so it's such a great privilege to be with everyone. I want to make 4 quick points to you. Is that what we need to do in today's world of politics? First of all, education is the most powerful tool that we can use to change the world. Who said that? Anybody know? There was a gentleman by the name of Nelson Mandela, and I believe that with all my heart. You need to pay attention to what's going on in school right now, because this is where you're learning how to communicate with each other, and It helps you to know how to debate each other and to talk to each other, and also gives you historical significance of what you're learning. Point number 2, I found in a book that I took a course one time. I want you to listen to this. This is something that we all need to do, especially in this day of discussing politics. The open expression of disagreement is natural and necessary in a free society. Indeed, efforts to stifle dissent are the first sign that a democracy is in trouble. Conflict is inevitable, but sometimes resources are squandered in putting up a good fight rather than more wisely using your time to solve the problem. And we do that a lot nowadays, so I would like to bring you back. Let's sit down and solve our problems. No matter which side of the political dialogue we're on, we need to sit down and listen to each other. And that's why that's point 3 and 4 that I want to make to you, that the biggest communication problem that we have in today's world, especially in the United States, is that we do not listen to understand each other. We listen only to reply. How many times are you talking to someone and you don't agree with them, so you're just trying to think of what you're going to say? But you need to truly listen to that person to understand what they're saying. And the 4th point, I always say this to my committee, something that I want to live by, is that you're educated, you know what you're talking about, based your education on facts or things that you know. And when you speak to another person, speak as though you're right. But when you're not speaking and you're listening, listen as though you're wrong. That way, you're truly listening to the other person, and then you can come together and find solutions. And so that's the 4 things that I think we need to do more in our world of politics today. And it's just such a pleasure to be with you and to hear from some of our students here about your thoughts. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. I'd like to invite forward our Principal Marsh, who has been such a gracious hostess to us today. We have one school in the entire state we're doing this at, and this is Germantown Middle School. And delighted you have been willing to welcome us. Thank you, Senator Kelsey, Representative White, for suggesting this school, and look forward to your words.
Good morning. Good morning. I just want to say a couple things that you've heard from a lot of different people this morning and a lot of different perspectives, but I want you to keep in mind the one thing here at Germantown that we always tell you. You have to vote your conscience. These days, people have a lot of opinions. I know you see all the commercials on TV where they're trying to sway you one way or another, and I know in some grade levels you've even talked about that, how that works. But what I think is really important for you to remember is you need to find out about these topics for yourself and find out about these candidates for yourself so that when you make a choice, it's your choice of what you think is right, not somebody else's opinion. Because the world is changing quickly, and there are a lot of opinions. There are more now than when I was your age, that's for sure, that are, I think it's probably because of social media, they're a lot more prevalent. People talk about them a lot more. So you're hearing more than I ever heard, probably any of us ever heard at their age about candidates and why we should vote for them. So make sure you're listening. Don't just listen to the commercial. Find out about that candidate. You guys can find anything on a computer. You make us look sad when it comes to technology. You can find anything. Find out about the candidates. Find one that you believe in, that talks about the things and is going to promote the things that you believe in, so that when you vote, you're voting for someone that you want to lead you and your values and your beliefs. That's important. We talk all the time about bullying and peer pressure. An election is one time where there should be no peer pressure. You get to vote the way you feel for the candidate that you think will best support the things you believe in. So that's your opportunity. And we are so excited to be a part of this and to have this mock election every year so that you get to practice that before your vote counts. I have 2 children. They're both adults this year. One's 18 and one's 21, so they are voting in their first elections. And this is the same conversation I've had with them, because it doesn't matter what mom thinks. It doesn't matter what dad thinks. This is going to be your world. What do you think? That's what's important. And that's how you need to vote. And we have such a great student body here. You're smart, strong, intelligent children. And you're going to grow up to be even smarter, stronger, intelligent adults who may one day be the senator, who may one day be the Secretary of State. So your time here and what you're learning here is important, because that's what prepares you. Because pretty soon, it's all going to be up to you. You're going to be taking care of us. We want to make sure you do a good job of that. So we're going to make sure you know everything you need to know to make the vote that you should make for you. So thank you for being here this morning. Thank you for taking part in the mock election. And thank you, Senator, Secretary of State, for coming with us today and making this an important time for our students so that they learn from this.
Thank you, Principal Marsh.
Thank you.
Ms. Davis, I know you're very involved with these students, and you've had a great hand in this mock election. We'd love for you to come and say a few words this morning.
Good morning, good morning. Good morning. It is a pleasure to stand here and discuss the importance of civics. It's a lesson that I learned from my wonderful parents and teachers, and one that I try to teach to my students. Teaching civics and social studies curriculum is more important than ever. Civics has to be a priority in all schools across the country. We want our future leaders to be proficient in government and politics and events happening around the world every day. Before we are Democrats, before we are Republicans or independents or any of the other parties, we are Americans. As a history teacher, there are so many examples of why it's so vital to let our voices be heard through the election process. Our votes during this election season and in future election seasons will shape what this country is now and what it will be. By participating in the mock elections, the students of Germantown Middle School got a chance to see what voting really looks like. And for most of them, they said it was pretty easy. I only hope that the future electorate does the work to research the candidates and vote for the person that they feel will do the best job. A special thank you to Secretary of State Tre Hargett and your office for creating a forum for our students to be involved in the election process. To Senator Brian Kelsey, thank you, and Representative White, thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedules to support the work that I and teachers across the country do. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, no, I wanted you to.
Okay.
I thought you were going to. You were walking away, so I
All
I
right.
didn't want to run after you.
If Jillian and Zarek can come forward. These young ladies are going to tell you why they voted for their candidate.
Hello, my name is Jillian Spiegel, and I am an 8th grader here at GMS. In this mock election, I voted for Phil Bredesen for U.S. Senate. Phil Bredesen is known for choosing what is best for Tennessee, and is willing to work with both parties to get things done. I stand with him in saying that public education is very important. He has already improved teacher pay and has expanded early childhood education. He also will help push affordable health care. He believes too many people can't afford health insurance. In his past, he has worked in the healthcare industry. This makes me confident that he will work with the people of Tennessee. His opponent, Marsha Blackburn, took over $800,000 from drug companies. She then pushed a bill that made it harder for Drug Enforcement Agency to crack down on suspicious opioid shipments. Prescription drug abuse is one of the biggest healthcare problems facing Tennesseans. Even President Trump agrees. Although we don't agree on everything, I believe Phil Bredesen will help strengthen America's public schools and use his decades of experience to push common sense solutions that will benefit Tennesseans. The other person I voted for is Carl Dean for governor. One of the issues that matters most to me is gun control. It should not have to happen twice for people to understand that mass shootings not only affect the victims and their families, but also the community as a whole. There are countless examples of these shootings. Some include Vegas, Parkland, and recently the shooting at a synagogue in Pittsburgh. Being a part of the Jewish community, it has not only affected me, but many others in my community. Children should not be scared to come to school or their place of worship. They shouldn't have to wonder if they will be next. Carl Dean believes that it is time to have a conversation about strengthening background checks to keep firearms out of the hands of dangerous people. He also agrees that we should not arm teachers. He says that teachers statewide have made it clear that they do not want to be armed. Unlike his opponent, Bill Lee, who has made it clear to us that he is for arming teachers. Because of this, I believe that Carl Dean can help us create a better future. With so much going on in today's world, who controls our government is a top priority. Please do your research before choosing whose actions affects not only you, but your loved ones' lives. The choices we make now will affect our future, so it is important to find a candidate that has my greater good in mind and can truly help make a difference. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Zara Lopez, and I'm here to tell you why I voted for Bill Lee and Marsha Blackburn. Billy is a cattle farmer, a father, a grandfather, and a seventh-generation Tennessean. As a father, he believes that everyone should have a great family and a great education. He also believes in the Second Amendment, where everyone should have a weapon to defend themselves. Although there are restrictions to this law, this leads us to the other candidate who got my vote, Marsha Blackburn. Marsha Blackburn also believes in the Second Amendment. Another good thing about her is she has experience as a businesswoman and as a politician, which is a pro of voting for her. Although we don't agree on everything, Bill Lee and Marsha Blackburn are my choices for the midterm election.
So, Mr. Lockhart, would you announce the results from the school?
Yes, sir. All right, so without further ado, the mock election results from Germantown Middle are as follows. For U.S. Senator, with 400 votes, which was 65% of the vote, the Democratic nominee, Phil Bredesen. For Tennessee State Governor, with 382 votes, which equated to 62% of the vote, we have Democratic nominee Carl Dean. So those are our GMS 2018 student mock election results.
Thank you, Mr. Lockhart. Boy, didn't those two students do a great job. And what I want each of us to take away from that I think is missing is, and Ms. Davis talked a little bit about this, and Principal Marsh talked a little bit about this as well, is the importance of being able to disagree without being disagreeable. We should all have the opportunity to talk about how we feel about things, but with respect for one another. And I think that's really what's missing in today's forum. And so I think that the two men that you have with me know very well how to conduct themselves, and I hope that we're raising a generation of young people that are going to conduct themselves with a great deal of civility in the public arena. So with that, let me just say that it's time to announce the statewide student mock election results. We had, as of 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, we had 56,470 students across the state of Tennessee who cast their ballots for the office of governor and U.S. Senate. For governor, Bill Lee received 36,459 votes, which represented 65% of the vote. Carl Dean received 20,012 votes, which was 35% of the vote. In the race for the United States Senate, Marsha Blackburn received 31,507 votes, which equaled 57% of the votes. And Phil Bredesen received 23,819 votes, which equaled 43% of the votes. I want to say thank you to all the schools that participate in our student mock election for realizing just how important civic engagement is, and realize it is never too early to get civically engaged. I also want to take the opportunity to remind Tennesseans that early voting is open today and tomorrow. It's not too late to participate in early voting. And if you're not able to participate in early voting, please head to the polls next Tuesday on November 6th. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today and showing you're committed to encouraging the next generation to be civilly engaged. And also another heartfelt thanks to Principal Marsh of Germantown Middle School for hosting us today, and we look forward to hosting future mock elections in our great state, Tennessee. That concludes our program. Thank you very much.